Ahoy ho fellow bookworms, my name is Caroline and I like to read books, so let's talk about them. Today's video is going to be a book haul, and even though it's February, there's books here that I got for Christmas and stuff like that, so I've actually got a bit to talk about and we're just going to jump straight in. To start things off, I got Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. I picked this up at the Data Book Blogger Night here in Sydney and I got it signed by the author, which was really cool, and she was just the loveliest person ever. And it just sounds super cool. It's about a main character who is cursed, and that curse means that she is supposed to die on a certain day, which is kind of dark, but on that day that she's supposed to die, someone actually shows up and like whisks her off to this magical land, and it starts this massive adventure for her, and it just sounds awesome. And it's the first in a series, and already it just is doing really well and it's getting great reviews, and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it because I really enjoy middle grades and it's just gonna be a lot of fun. After that, I grabbed myself a copy of Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is their new action adventure story, which is like Indiana Jones in space. I was a big fan of their Starbound trilogy, so when I heard they had a new series coming out, I was like, I'm so grabbing that. And I have already read this and I talked about it a bit in my January wrap-up. I enjoyed it, but not as much as I expected to, but it's going to be a duology or a series, and I am still really keen to see where it goes because the adventure aspect of this story was really exciting, but the characters were a bit of a letdown for me. And again, I have a signed copy, which is cool. Next up, I got Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, which is the third book in his Stormlight Archive series, and it is 1,200 pages, which is absolutely fucking crazy, but I've already read this and really enjoyed it. It was an excellent book and highly recommend. After that, I bought The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. This is a book of fairy tales that take place in the Grisha world, and it's just a nice little expansion on the universe that I really wanted to own, especially because it has these gorgeous illustrations that grow with each page and just add something really nice to the story, and it's just so aesthetic and gorgeous, and so I really wanted to own it. Again, I've already read it. I talked about it in my January wrap-up, which I'll leave the link to in the description because I'm realizing that I read a lot of these books in January, so if you want to know my thoughts, check it out. But I did enjoy this. The illustrations were a real highlight though. On to the books that I got for Christmas now, the first one being the illustrated Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I've already had a look through it, a lot of the illustrations, and so many of them look awesome, and it's really made me want to reread Harry Potter, but I'm not sure if I will reread this or if I will reread my box set, but these illustrations look so cool. I also got The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. This one was a gift from my older sister and I am really looking forward to reading this one. I enjoyed Milk and Honey, but not as much as it had been like hyped up to be. But this one really hasn't been hyped up that much yet, so I'm looking forward to going into it with like not that many expectations and just seeing what I think of it. I've already had a bit of a flick through and looked at some of the poems and I really liked what I saw, so I'm hoping to get to this one sometime soon. The final book that I got for Christmas was from my parents, and it is Wind/Pinball by Haruki Murakami, and it is in the reversible edition because it is both of his first two novels that have finally been translated to English. I'm really looking forward to reading this because, like I said, it's his first two novels and I am a big fan of his work, so I would like to see where he started out, and it would just be really cool to read them. Hoping to get to this one soon, but I feel like I say that a lot and then suddenly it's like 6 months later and I still haven't read it, but we'll see how I go this time around. These next 5 or so books are ones that I bought in the Boxing Day sales on Book Depository because I was so fucking excited to see all of them so cheap. The first two are by Oliver Sacks, and it's Migraine and An Anthropologist on Mars. The migraine one, it's pretty self-explanatory why I wanted it. I get really bad migraines and I wanted to read a book that kind of delved a bit deeper into migraines, why people get them, and into some case studies and stuff like that. An Anthropologist on Mars is a bunch of paradoxical case studies about the brain. I think one of them is a case study that I've heard about before where it's a surgeon who has really bad Tourette's all the time except when he's operating on people. Both of them sound really interesting because I'm really interested by the brain and by psychology and just by medical stuff in general, so I'm hoping to read these soon, but I know that I have to be in a bit of a mood to read non-fiction, so we'll see when I get to them. Next up is Exit West by Mohsen Hamid. I have been wanting to read this book for so long, so when I saw it cheap, I just had to pick it up. This is a book about two young people who meet and fall in love in a country that's being torn apart by civil war, and suddenly this door appears that kind of transports them to a new place, and it's about them kind of going to this new place and trying to find a stable life in a different world and stuff like that. I don't know a heap about it because everyone's descriptions have been kind of vague and I've tried to avoid them, but what I have heard has really intrigued me. Obama put it on his list of best books of 2017, so I'm in. I also got myself a copy of a book that I've been wanting to read for so fucking long, and it is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is the first book in the Wayward Children series, and it is a portal fantasy, so it's about children who go through a door and enter another world, and this book takes place at a school for children who have returned from those worlds and are having trouble like readjusting to society and stuff like that. And I loved it. Like, I can see why people rave about it. It was just, oh man. It was so good. Next up is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and I literally just started reading this. I'm only about 5 pages in, but it seems pretty okay so far. And I actually don't know that much about this book apart from that like one of the characters runs a podcast and they become friends but they don't fall in love and stuff like that. I just remember that I heard a couple of like amazing reviews for this a while ago, and I was like, yeah, I want to read it. So I put it on my wish list, and then when it was cheap, I grabbed it, and I'm kind of really excited to go into this not knowing that much because I think that's really exciting to do every now and then. So I'm really hoping that I enjoy this book, but I don't really know what to expect from it. The final book that I picked up in the Boxing Day sales was Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore, and I'm really excited to read this, but also I picked it up for the beautiful cover. This is a magical realism story about a bunch of women who live in these beautiful gardens that they also tend to, and any man that they have taken as a lover has also disappeared in those gardens, never to be seen again, until suddenly this strange boy reappears in those gardens, and they're trying to work out who he is and why the gardens have given him back and stuff like that. And it just sounds so like intriguing, and I just want to know what happens. And I've heard amazing things about this author's writing. I've heard that it's so like beautiful and lush and just awesome. Like, everyone raves about this author, so I do really want to get into this, but I've just been putting off reading it since I got it because I'm kind of intimidated because everyone's hyped it up. The final 2 books that I have to show you guys I actually got in the Never Never book box, and I'll leave the link to that in case you guys are interested, but the 2 books that I got are The Cruel Prince by Holly Black and Valentine by Jodi McAllister. I've already read The Cruel Prince and I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of problems, but for the most part, I found it really entertaining. I haven't yet read Valentine, but it sounds like it's going to be a really good story. It's about Fae. There's 4 children who are born on Valentine's Day, and one of them is actually a changeling who is like a Fae disguised as a human, and the Fae are coming to like kill that changeling, and drama is happening. The sequel just came out and it sounds like it's a really fast-paced and fun series, and also it's an Australian author, which is really cool. That brings us to the end of this video though, guys. If you have read any of these books, be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I upload videos Wednesdays, Saturdays, and sometimes Mondays as well, so be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Toodaloo.